At some point, you realize the energy in the room has turned. Support quietly disappears, and rules suddenly apply only to you. You are now being managed, not opposed. This isolation triggers an ancient biological panic. Because human wiring evolved inside groups where belonging meant protection, you instinctively appease the crowd. You over-explain your intentions and try to win back approval from people who have already decided you won't make it. Viewing this as a simple misunderstanding is a fatal error. In a hostile environment, transparency and generosity are read as leverage. Every explanation you provide gives your adversaries reconnaissance, allowing them to block your path in advance. You are facing coordinated hostility. Playing fair or trying to be understood by people who have already placed their bets against you guarantees you will lose. Niccolò Machiavelli observed this dynamic in the brutal political courts of the Renaissance. He warned that retreating into virtue and kindness when under threat only signals to your enemies that you can still be moved. Surviving total opposition requires a change in how you move. Achieving success here requires an internal recalibration, a playbook designed to remove the traction of the system and replace your survival instincts with a rigid, strategic structure. The strategy begins with the removal of information. When you announce your intentions or defend your actions, you provide a map of your limits and priorities. Clarity only helps allies. To an adversary, clarity is reconnaissance. Machiavelli faced the ultimate test of this when he was exiled and tortured by the ruling Medici family. He was stripped of his status and surrounded by a state, a church, and former allies that wanted him silenced. He did not beg for his return or argue his case publicly. He withdrew to his farm in absolute silence and channeled his energy inward to produce the prince. This is the strategy of the void. Hatred and gossip require fuel to burn. When you give them absolute, cold silence, they have nothing to consume. Without your reaction, your enemies lose their feedback loop and inevitably turn their paranoia onto each other. Removing your reaction strips the environment of its traction. It makes you unreadable, and an unreadable participant is a participant that cannot be managed. This diagram compares 3 types of systems under pressure. While the fragile system shatters and the robust system merely survives, an anti-fragile system absorbs the weight and uses it to expand, glowing brighter because of the resistance. You apply this to real life by treating insults, exclusions, and criticisms as raw data. Your enemies will tell you the brutal truths that friends hide to protect your feelings. You take the hurt out of the attack and instead use that harsh information to audit your own weaknesses. In 1985, Steve Jobs was completely rejected by his tribe. He was publicly fired from the company he founded by the board of directors and the industry at large. He spent his wilderness years in isolation, building Next and Pixar. He used that time not to complain, but to acquire the exact leadership skills and financial experience his critics said he lacked. Hostile environments act as high-intensity psychological pressure cookers. They force you to evolve at a speed that is simply impossible to reach in comfort. There is a primal urge to retaliate when you are targeted, but anger only proves the enemy's narrative. It reveals exactly where you still care, which tells your adversaries exactly where to press next. The ancient Roman Lucius Brutus survived a murderous king by actively playing the fool. He projected a harmless, mediocre image to lower the king's guard, all while memorizing his weaknesses and waiting for a moment of instability to strike. 50 Cent used a similar mask when he was blacklisted by the music industry. He quietly flooded the underground streets with mixtapes, building an army of fans before the industry even realized he was still playing the game. The core tactic is to project mediocrity, agree with your detractors, flatter your opponents, make them feel secure. You want them to believe you are already defeated, so they sheathe their knives, giving you the space to hoard resources in the dark. Behaving like a submissive participant while secretly building an empire takes massive discipline. This psychological espionage ensures you can fully operate without the interference of the people trying to contain you. This journey culminates in Machiavellian virtue, the absolute internal capability to master circumstances, and Nietzsche's amor fati, the love of one's fate. True sovereignty arrives the moment you achieve total financial, emotional, and intellectual autonomy. When your self-possession is complete, you literally no longer need the approval or the access of your opponents to survive. This allows you to view the opposition's resistance with gratitude. Their attempts to bury you provided the weight required for you to develop a strength that would have been unreachable in a friendly environment. Victory means reaching a state where your success is so undeniable that their opinions are rendered entirely irrelevant. You are no longer reacting to their world. They are forced to recalibrate around yours. If this framework helped you see your current struggles as the raw material for your own growth, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Share one specific step you are taking today to build your own fortress in silence in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.